Ever feel like your English descriptions are just a little bit flat? Like you're not quite painting the picture you have in your head? Well, today, we're going to fix that. We are diving deep into the world of adjectives to show you how a few simple rules can make your descriptions way more vivid and powerful. All right, take a good look at this glove. Right now, it's just a glove. Pretty simple. But I promise, by the end of this, you'll be able to describe this exact same glove with some incredible detail and precision. Let's see how we can transform this simple object into something much, much more. Okay, first things first. To get started, we really need to understand the fundamental role of an adjective. Like, what is its actual job in a sentence? Let's break it down. At its very heart, an adjective's job is to modify or, describe a noun. It's the word that answers questions like what kind or how many. It's how we go from something kind of generic, like a car, to something you can actually picture, a fast red car. See? Those two little words change absolutely everything. I love this way of thinking about it. A noun all by itself is functional, sure. But once you add adjectives, it suddenly has style, it has color, it has a distinct personality. It's just like adding a splash of lipstick or a cool hat. They just bring our language to life. So where do we actually put these powerful little words? It might seem simple, but there are two key positions in a sentence. And as we're about to see, choosing one spot over the other can completely change the meaning of what you're saying. The first spot, and the one you probably use all the time, is right before the noun it's describing. This is called the attributive position. The second spot is after a linking verb, like is or seems, where the adjective acts as a complement, and we call that one the predicative position. Now, I know this sounds a bit technical, but the difference between them is incredibly important. Okay, let's look at the difference this actually makes. If I say, John is a sick man, using that first attributive position, I'm kind of implying it's part of his identity, a more permanent condition. But if I say, John is sick, using that second predicative position, it just suggests a temporary state. He's just sick today. See the difference? One is an identity, the other is just a condition. That's the power of placement. This rule even explains some of those little quirks of English you might have noticed. There's this group of older adjectives that start with A, words like alive, alone, or asleep, and they almost always describe temporary states. That's exactly why we say the fish is alive, but it sounds really weird to say the alive fish. These words are basically hardwired to fit only in that second predicative position. All right, now for the part that trips up almost everyone, adjective order. When you have a whole string of adjectives, how do you arrange them? Believe it or not, it is not random. There is a secret, intuitive logic at play, and we're about to unlock it together. Let's go back to our glove and build its description, layer by layer. We start with its most fundamental quality, its material. It's a leather glove. Then, where is it from? Origin, an Italian leather glove. What color is it? Black. Age? Old. So now we have an old, black, Italian leather glove. And finally, a temporary state. A bloody, old, black, Italian leather glove. Notice how each layer builds on the last, moving from the most permanent quality outward. It just feels right, doesn't it? But why? Is this just something you have to memorize, some long list of categories like size, shape, color? No. There's a much simpler, much more intuitive principle at play here. Here it is. This is the simple, elegant rule behind the whole thing. The more unchangeable and objective a quality is, the closer it sits to the noun. Think about it. A glove's material, leather, is more permanent than its origin, Italian. Its origin is more fixed than its color, black. And its color is more lasting than its temporary condition, bloody. That's the secret. Objective qualities hug the noun. Subjective, temporary ones stay farther away. Okay, just a couple of quick but really important rules to remember. First, when a noun acts like an adjective, like in cigarette box, it's always singular, no S. And second, when you combine words with hyphens to create an adjective, like 5-year-old, the noun inside is also singular. So it's a 5-year-old child, never a 5-years-old child. So now that we know how to build a rich description, let's look at the next logical step, using those descriptions to make comparisons. How do we use adjectives to say something is bigger or better or just more interesting than something else? At its core, comparison is really about three simple relationships. One thing is greater than another, less than another, or equal to it. The logic is pretty straightforward, but the grammar rules, well, that's where things can get a little tricky. Let's clear them up. The most confusing adjectives are often the ones with two syllables, because the rules aren't always consistent. But here's a really simple guide. If the adjective has a common ending, like ed or inging or full, you're going to use more or most. Think more crowded. If it ends in y, you change it to an I and add or est, like in happier. For a lot of others, like shallow, you actually have a choice. Both shallower and more shallow are correct. Now for the most important rule of all, and this is one that trips up even advanced learners. Your comparisons must be symmetrical. You have to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. It has to make logical sense. Here's exactly how this works in practice. You can't say, my car is bigger than you, because you're illogically comparing a car to a person. You have to compare my car to your car, which we can just shorten to yours. The same logic applies to groups. You can't say, cars made in Taiwan are better than they made in Korea. The pronoun they doesn't match cars. You need the pronoun those to create that parallel. Cars compared to those cars. Remember, in comparisons, logical symmetry is everything. Phew, we have covered a lot of ground, from where to put adjectives to the secret order of description. So let's lock in all this knowledge with 3 essential keys to mastering adjectives for good. So here are the 3 big takeaways to remember. Number 1, position changes the meaning. Before the noun is a permanent quality, after a linking verb is a temporary state. Number 2, order is based on logic. The most objective, unchangeable qualities always sit closest to the noun. And number 3, comparisons must be symmetrical. Always, always, always compare apples to apples. So why is it so important to master these rules? I mean, it's not just about sounding more fluent in a conversation. This kind of grammatical logic is precisely what's tested on high-stakes exams. In fact, that rule of logical comparisons is a guaranteed question on the GMAT. So with these tools in your pocket, the real question is, are you ready for it?